Hey guys, might do a sound check because this is all new setup here. Can anyone hear us? I've got audio issues, I think, so I'd just like to confirm that we've actually got something. Sounds good. Okay, thanks, Mark. Now, look, we haven't done one of these for a while, and I'd like to get back and do it. Probably tonight's the first really productive day I've actually done anything for myself or anything that sort of works since I've moved. So it's I went up and took the plugs out of the roller and did a bit of work there and sorted out some donations. There's a toolbox full of tools and some bits and pieces and a fridge and a microwave, stuff like that. It's steamship donations. Been at work today, second day back. Still loving it, really. It's a good job. Hammer handles and axe handles. A lot of axe handles today. Like 300 or 400 of them. But we're getting there. So that's what I've sort of done. The hamster wheel running in the background. I don't know how to fix that. That's the problem. That's what I was afraid of, Mark. I don't know really how to fix that. It's telling me that Google Chrome is using my microphone. Don't know. We might have to live with that. Sorry, guys. I've got a bad speaker in this laptop, and it's one of the reasons I want to get rid of it eventually. And usually headphones would override it, but this time it doesn't seem to. So something's obviously still working in the background. I don't know what that is. Could close all the tabs until we find something that actually works, but probably I won't. Because it's probably this one that I've got open on Restream. Anyway, went to the National Rally. That's something we have done. More about that tomorrow night. But I have a mud map. See? Awesome. A mud map on both sides. Which is actually a chimney support bracket for a Russell Proctor. Is that right? 2.5 horsepower portable for my mate Phil. So that's what we're going to draw. I haven't really looked particularly much at onshape for a week or two. Because things have been busy, as Mark can probably attest. Things are a bit crazy, to be honest. Writing articles as we speak for a couple of things. For a new magazine that's launching in Australia. they do have a rudimentary website up. It's a bit sort of basic, but it has been updated fairly recently. I think they're going to go places. It's called Historic and Vintage Machinery Australia. Ladies running this, seems very switched on with a background in publishing. Looking for some permission. So writing articles for that. Also writing articles on the National Rally for Old Glory magazine and sorting through photos and things. So I've had a bit to do tonight. Also designing and building it, or putting together a calendar for Shenandoah Steamshed and some other artwork for other stuff as well. So it's a bit full on here tonight. All happening. And of course, by this time of night, I'm starting to feel like it's time for bed because I have early starts and things. Anyway, that's where we are. So, same deal, really. I had a bit of a mess with this, and I really don't think it was much. Really not all that impressed with what I ended up with. But we might start from that. Don't know if it really works like this. It's a little bracket that bolts on the top of the cylinder. I guess looking at it from the fence side, the rally, from most of these engines, this is what you see. And it's got a bolt through here and a bolt through here. And it's got a boss here. Looking at the drawing, that looks about right here. There's a bolt here somewhere and a bolt here somewhere that's both offset. And there's an angle bracket. I don't have a mouse here, so we're going to have to put up with my terrible, crappy laptop. But there should be an angle bracket between these two to hold them together and some nice fillets and things just to give us a shape. We hide that again. We've got that sketch. I'm going to delete that sketch because it didn't work as well as it could have. But looking at the front of the base, basically the basic looking at the front of the basic plate that sits on. It looks something like that. It's got a bit of a recess in the back and it's got two bolts which are 5/8 from each side, basically 5/8 from the corner and 5/8 from the corner. So if we do another sketch here like this on the front plane, pretty basic. Click line and we press Q for construction. We can come in here from the corner 0.625 because we're working in inches and that's 5/8 of an inch. And down here the same 0.625. And I'd say that there's probably a 1/2 inch Whitworth bolt goes in there, so we're going to call that just for the 0.5, just for the sake of the argument. There's one of them in the top and one in the bottom, so what I'm going to do is mirror that. Mirror it on that line there. Then if we change, what happens then is we've got two circles there. And if we change these dimensions, this one changes too because it's a mirror of that one. So we don't need to really put one set of dimensions in there. That's pretty straightforward. So that's where our two bolts go. Now, we probably should sketch in two. We'll just extrude them out through the hole. Remove. Remove a piece of that. What we should do for clearance is to check in the, or sketch in there. Basically the Whitworth nuts in the old style, just to make sure we've got enough clearance. I've been caught with this before, so who knows how big half-inch Whitworth nut is across the flats. Come on, everyone. Half-inch Whitworth nut's 1.1 inches. There you go. Just for useful information that you retain, because I've made that many of them that I know exactly. So we're going to put another sketch on here, just on this plate, I think, on the front. It says face of extrude one. And here we're going to put a inscribed polygon on the center, 6. 1.1. So that's how big, basically that's how big a half-inch Whitworth nut is. What's going to look on there? We can put a circle around that, so that gives us our, basically that gives us our clearance. And if we mirror that again, the same as before, what we can do then, we've got that sketch there, and we can keep that sort of as helpful, and we can just turn that one off. So if we rename that, nut out. We'll call that nut outline. It's just started for something better to just sort of call it. But that's sort of how they look on there. So all our brackets need to do is clear those nuts so we can actually get them screwed up. We've got, if we do another sketch here on this same raw one, let's do it on. We might live with that and say that's good enough. This web that comes across here is 3/4 of an inch wide. We'll click line and cube again. Put a construction line across there. I've worked this out. This is 2, this plate I've drawn here before was 4 inches by 2 5/16. So it's 3/4 of an inch thick. So if we draw something like that, and then we basically do an offset here. And that's 3/8, which is half a 3/4. We can just put a fraction in, works. And we could probably mirror this one. And that gives us that space there. Our upright web, it says, is 5/8 of an inch. So if we draw another line here, like so, up there, across here, 5/8 of an inch. We can just put the fraction in again. And down here, nice and parallel. And that line will get an orange dot on it when it's parallel with the other one, or perpendicular, or whichever. And we can trim this out of here like that. And that gives us basically the outline. What I think I'm going to do is extrude this. We can't extrude that yet because that sketch is incomplete. I only got one screen here, so I'm messing with this on my laptop. At some point I hope to bring my other screen down. See how that works. And that extrudes itself out. I'm going to make that a separate piece. So we click new, and that changes it to a different color just to determine that it is a separate piece. Click the front there. We can see that that's an actual separate piece there. I don't know when it's going to join in with this other piece here. If we look at it down from the top, this is all over the place because my touchpad's nearly dead, to be honest. But that's not extruded far enough into that. I'm just going to have a look at the chat here for a second. Nothing's happening. What have we got? We've got 3 people watching. How awesome are you guys? Not sure that this is really very riveting stuff, but there we go. And you've got a terrible background noise. Audio is awful. Hopefully we can get that sorted out. So this latest extrusion isn't far enough, so I'm going to edit that. Let's make it 2. That looks pretty good. That goes far enough. And so that's sort of what we got. Now, problem is that my trackpad button gets stuck because it's dead. Make another extrusion. Which is the center of that. And remove that, and our merge scape is going to be that one. And instead of going blind through there, we're going to go through all. Click symmetrical. This is terrible. I'm sorry, guys. But what we have here is 3 separate parts, and they all sort of seem to be joined together. It's not ideal because, for one, we've got some difficult things, some bits that are very difficult to cast here, including this angle here. So sketch 3 is that one. If we edit that, basically 2 circles. Put a little square in there like that. And it's a bit of a challenge, and you probably having a function not working like that is, it's kind of makes for a learning curve. If we make that shape, what we've done is not real successful. We've got the right shape there, but it shouldn't have this bit sticking up. So we're going to need to put another piece in there. Sorry about this. This is all over the show because this doesn't sort itself out. My laptop's near, and the laptop's very close to dead, to be honest. The other thing we can do is do this and then press N for normal. That'll do. Another way to deal with that, if we go Control Z, that fixes that. And what we can do is sketch on here, on this face, just to make it work. If we sketch some lines, something like a box that looks that's incorrect. We'll draw down from there, I think. We just draw a box in there. That's going to get it's going to get sort of amalgamated with that cylinder, so no one's ever going to know that it's an ugly shaped line in there. If we look at that sketch is right on that plane there. So if we extrude that, oh my gosh, this is getting a bit serious. If we had that mouse, it would help. But I went back to Brisbane and forgot to pick one up. So extrude that. Sketch 6 back that way. What's the actual measurement? Let's go 2 inches. There we go. If we add that to there, it's basically fixed that problem. Don't know if you can even see what I've done because this is terrible. But I've put that piece in there, like so. Looking at the drawing, it's probably all we need. If we do a Boolean union there to join those two pieces together. Oh, come on, seriously. That's really bad. This one here is union. click that one and that one. We can join them together, and that gives us very much the sort of shape we need, I think. I might use the arrow keys to turn that around, I think, rather than the mouse. We need to put some fillets on here. So the last fillet was 1/4 inch, which is the right one. And that matches that there. Another one on top there, I think that looks about right. And that gives us some good clearance there. We'll do another one here, very much the same, around this side and this side, this side. It won't let us do that. But we can do that one and that one. Is it like that? Not really. For some reason. You're welcome to get sick of this and just leave, because doesn't like that very much. Let's move back to this one. I don't like that either. Didn't work. Let's do this way. Put a new fillet on here like this. There we are, that works. We might have to fix that later. So we've got that and that. All we're trying to do is put some nice fillets in here for the casting, make it look a bit pretty. It didn't work. So it's a good start. I think we're going to make this one the same around the bottom here. This one here is 5. If we drag fillet 5 down here so that we can actually do some work on it. Yeah. Find fillet 5 no longer exists, so let's do that. This one and this one gives us a nice fillet around the bottom. So we're starting to get there. I think this needs a fillet around the top as well, just looking at my drawing. And probably there's one across the top here as well. That doesn't work, so I have to have a bit of a play with that. Might be getting a bit rusty. I need to spend some time on this. This says that this one and this one are full round. Like so. Come on, don't do that. Fillet 5, we're going to modify again. That works, so I might leave it at that. So that's basically what we've got. If we union these like this, that one, what we need to do, oh gosh, there's a fillet in here. In here, so the best way probably to do that is sketch on this plane. It might be better to sketch on this side of the on this face, and then do a 3-point arc. As such, that's what I've written here. That seems a bit sort of light on, to be honest. I'm not liking that much. Let's try again. 3-point arc. 0.75. We'll put a measurement here so that we can space this down nicely. 0.75 3/4 of an inch. Point 0.75. Not really working for me. On one of those days. This seemed like a good idea at the start. Let's do this way. Point 0.875. That's 7/8 of an inch. I'm going to put a measurement on that because I don't think that's constrained particularly well. Point 375 or 3/8 of an inch. There we go. Now we put another construction line out here. 0.875. And we do the whole 3-point arc. Point 0.875. Of course, it's over constrained, it always is, but that looks more like what we probably need. Looking at it though, if we turn this around so we look at the other side, probably. Where are we? It really doesn't look terrible. I think we're going to make it a bit bigger though. Make it 1 inch. There we go. So that might look better. We'll finish that drawing because what we've got is a fillet there we need to cover. Also got what sounds like a dripping tap in the background, but it's not. Don't know if you can hear that. I'm not sure what it is, but I haven't been able to find it in about a week of looking. So I've spent quite a lot of time on that. Looking at the front of it. Make it 5/8. 5/8 wide. And we've got a fillet there like that. Bit ugly. But what we can do something like that. That works for us. And the same on this side, I think. So we've got this here. Let's do that. This is terrible. And I think we can probably fill this line here too. We can't though. Where do we do that one first? That was something like, it's actually quite ugly. I'm going to sit down and mess with this a bit. No, it's not going to work. Anyway, that's sort of what it looks like. There's also a part number on here, which, did I write this down? But everything else. 5486A it says. So, let's do that. You're right, Peter. Yeah. You sent me a mouse, Peter, and I really need to pick that up, which would have been sensible on my way through this weekend, but it didn't happen. There was a bit of a rush, and I did intend to. Didn't happen, sorry. CPU fan, maybe? I think it could be. Pipe burst. That's the kettle on, actually. Anyway, everyone's still sort of following on and not too crazy with it because it's terrible. I'm sorry about terrible sound. We've got a part number, which is 5486A. And put it in swear word language. 5486A is the part number. Oswald doesn't appear to be really the script. I sort of know what I'm looking for. I don't know if that's really what I want. It's not that. It's not that. Not sure it's that. All I'm doing is looking for the right font. I don't really have a clue what it is. the sans font, which means it hasn't got serifs, or it hasn't got increments, it's just a plain font. Gothic sans is probably what we want. Gothic of some sort. It's not that one. Let's start with that. Like that. If we extrude this, we can wrap this, I think. It shows exactly how much of this I've ever done. But here somewhere there is a feature. Probably it's here. Wrap. Face of sketch 8, the target is this. I'm not sure I've got what it takes tonight to do this. It's a bit slack. I'm not going to wrap it that way. I'm going to extrude that for a start. It hasn't extruded the dots. Why is that so? I see why that's so. So that's what we've got. Right. It's extruded way too far. Come on, do the thing. I forgot how bad this was without a mouse. So have a look down here at this last extrude here. It's extruded all them separate. Let's edit that. Instead of 1 inch, we're going to go 0.05, which is hardly, it's just thin. And we're going to use a transform, which is here somewhere. Transform. I'm going to translate and form those parts. I'm going to drag it over here. So first we're going to rotate it because I think it goes. I'm going to give up on this, guys. Sorry. It's a bit late and we've had a bit of a play with it. I'm going to be... at some point I'm going to have another go at it and play with it. I don't think it'll be a difficult thing to cast, really. What we've got is the actual machine piece there. We're going to have to put some casting allowance and stuff in it. I'm going to have to have a little bit of play with it. We're going to have to extrude those nuts out the right height. Does anyone know what the height of a 1/2 inch Woodworth nut is? No, not even the slightest clue. I'll have to look that one up. Just to make sure the studs and everything clear nicely and make sure it's stuck out far enough and all that stuff. This distance between the centre and the back of the plate isn't all that critical. All it does is basically hold up a turn stanchion, if you like, with a bow on it that holds the chimney up when it's folded down. So that number goes sideways on there on the side. I'm going to have a bit of a play with that and get it right. It's probably going to need a little bit of machining allowance on it. And instead of being what, 1.375" or something inside like it is, I'm probably going to put a 1-inch core in it, something like that, 5/8, 7/8 core in it, so that it just so we don't get shrinkage on it, and it'll cast on its side with this side that's facing us to the bottom. Which is probably why it's got, I would say, a full round fillet on that front face of the web. Gonna need a bit of messing around with the fillets and things. I don't think it's really an ordeal to do. I'm going to need more time than I've got tonight because I'm getting a bit sleepy. But thanks, guys. I am back. We're going to have to basically live stream tomorrow night to talk about National Rally and stuff, because mine was a bit dismal compared to Mark's. Mark's live stream was amazing from National Rally. I hope everyone watched that, because he went above and beyond, and he got a lot of people on side to actually come and give me a hand with that. I was there. So that's cool. But yeah, that's where we're at. Anyway, it won't be a fun casting, really, but with a core in it and a bit of creation. I don't think it'll be a problem with brass. It'd be very good to have that on there, because Phil's got the chimney sort of almost on the portable, so it'd be nice to have that to fold it down onto. Anyway, I might go to bed, guys. I'll clean up some stuff and put some dishes away, because this place is looking a little bit lived in, and go out to the van and crash and get up again at 6 o'clock or whatever, 10 to 6, quarter to 6 or something. and go to work, start at 7 and I'm back at 4. What am I going to do tomorrow night? There will be jobs to do, but I might have a bit of a play with this. Calendar's still missing a couple of pictures, but apart from that, probably tomorrow night there'll be some proofs up. We have had some calendar sales for Shannondale Steve Shed. There'll probably be something about that tomorrow night. But anyway, thanks guys. Sorry about the dismal quality of the live stream. We really need to do something about that soon. Mark's a hard act to follow, really. He's done some really good stuff for it recently. Anyway, be kind to each other, especially to me, and more soon, guys.